"Get your hands off me!" Her voice cracked as it echoed off the narrow hallway walls behind the gym. It wasn't loud, but it carried something sharp, something raw that made even the buzz of laughter around them momentarily falter. She was small, barely noticeable most days, the kind of girl who blended into corners and avoided eye contact. But now, pinned against the rusted lockers by a boy at least a head taller, she couldn't disappear. Not anymore. His name was Tyler Madden, Sr., football captain, son of the man whose name was carved into the school gym's plaque. And right now, Tyler wasn't smiling for the yearbook. He was sneering, his face twisted into something mean, mocking, confident. Around them, a group of his teammates stood watching, amused, some filming with smirking faces and ready phones. No teachers, no adults, just concrete floors, stale hallway air, and one girl who had no backup. Her name, at least the one on her transfer paperwork, was Olivia Chun. But most kids here at Carver Ridge didn't bother to learn it. They just called her the quiet girl. She'd only been here 3 days. 3 days of shadows, of quiet lunches alone, of whispering voices following her down the halls. She never caused trouble. She barely even looked up. And maybe that's what made her the perfect target. Tyler leaned in, pressing his forearm against the locker beside her head. "You think you can just ignore me?" His voice was low, mocking. Olivia's shoulders were tense, her fingers twitching at her sides. She didn't flinch. Not yet, but her eyes flickered. Sharp, alert. This wasn't the first time someone tried to corner her. Just the first time since arriving in this place. Rumors had followed her from day one. Some said she was stuck up. Others whispered she got expelled from her last school. A few speculated she was homeschooled and weird. But no one knew the truth. Olivia had made sure of that. She'd promised her mother, no more incidents, no more fights. Just keep your head down. It had taken a lot for them to move here. Another town, another school, another chance at starting over. And Olivia wanted that fresh start desperately. But old patterns had a cruel way of chasing her down. Tyler nudged her shoulder with his. "Say something, mouse. Come on. Squeak." Laughter erupted behind him. Olivia looked past him for a second, toward the end of the hall where the exit sign flickered overhead. No one was coming. No one ever came. Her voice was quiet. "You don't want to do this." That stopped him, barely. Then he chuckled. "Oh, but I do. You're going to learn where you fit around here." He raised his hand, not to strike, but to gesture dramatically for his audience, like it was all a joke, a show. But Olivia's heart was thundering. She wasn't scared of Tyler. Not really. She was scared of what might happen if she fought back, because there was something she was hiding, something she had buried deep. Her fingers twitched again. Her stance shifted, so subtle no one saw it, except maybe one person. At the far end of the hallway, Ms. Barnes, a tired-looking chemistry teacher with a long cardigan and reading glasses, rounded the corner. She stopped short, froze. She saw Tyler. She saw Olivia. She saw the phones. Her lips pressed into a thin line. Then she turned, walked away, straight back the way she came. The laughter started again. Louder now. Tyler grinned. "See? Nobody's coming to save you." Olivia swallowed hard. She could feel again the fire under her skin, the edge she tried so hard to suppress. It wasn't rage. It was clarity, precision, instinct. But still she didn't move. Not yet. Her mind flashed back to her old coach, Master Han. His words still rang in her memory. "Don't fight unless you have to, but if you do, finish it fast." She remembered the tournaments, the medals, the pressure of competition, and the last time it all went wrong. The school that suspended her for defending herself, the counselor who called her a liability, the mother who cried silently behind the wheel as they packed up and moved again. She couldn't afford to make another mistake. Not now. Not when her mom was working night shifts just to afford their tiny apartment. Not when college was supposed to be the way out. But Tyler didn't know any of that. He leaned closer again, whispering into her ear, "I could ruin you. You know that." Olivia didn't answer, not with words. Just a breath, slow, steady, and then the sound of someone walking. Fast. Heavy steps. From the other end of the hallway, Principal Alden, broad-shouldered, stern, always moving fast, always tired of teenage drama. Behind him, Ms. Barnes returned, this time not turning away. Phones vanished into pockets. Tyler stepped back. Olivia straightened. Alden's voice boomed. "What's going on here?" Tyler smiled like nothing had happened. "Just talking, sir." Olivia didn't say a word. She didn't need to. Her silence now wasn't fear, it was restraint. But inside, something had shifted, because she knew this wouldn't be the last time. That night, Olivia sat on the edge of her creaky twin bed, staring out the window of their third-floor apartment. The soft hum of distant traffic filtered through the cracked glass pane. Her mother's voice echoed in her memory. "We can't afford another incident, Liv. Please." Her fingers toyed with the edge of her blanket as she tried to push away the image of Tyler's sneer, of his friends laughing, of Ms. Barnes turning her back, and of the way Principal Alden had watched them both, not with anger, but with tired indifference, as if this kind of thing was just another line on his checklist. She turned and reached for the old wooden trunk at the foot of her bed. The hinges creaked as she opened it, revealing a tangle of clothes and one folded piece of fabric. Slowly, reverently, she lifted it. A black belt. Clean. Untouched for months. She ran her thumb along the tightly stitched edges. "You don't want to do this." She had warned him. And it wasn't a threat. It was a fact. A memory surged. Her instructor's voice, stern but proud. "Control. Always control. But never forget who you are." She hadn't trained in almost a year. Not since the last incident. A tournament gone sideways. A confrontation afterward. One too many fists raised. One too few people listening to her side. The headlines didn't care about why. They only remembered the damage. Teen martial artist suspended after violent altercation. That one stuck. She hadn't touched the belt since. Olivia folded it and tucked it beneath her pillow before shutting off the light. The next morning, Carver Ridge High felt colder. Maybe it was the weather. Maybe it was the way people watched her. Because they were watching now. Whispers followed her down the halls again, but they'd changed. Subtle shifts in tone. She just stood there while Tyler backed off. Think she's actually dangerous? Why didn't she say anything? She kept her hood up, kept her hands in her pockets. But inside, everything itched. In English class, she caught a glimpse of Tyler. He looked relaxed, confident, like none of it had ever happened. But when he glanced her way, she caught something else. Just for a second, a flicker of unease. He didn't smile. After lunch, as she headed toward her locker, a girl intercepted her. Short, confident, lavender-streaked, hair pulled back in a bun. She wore a denim jacket with a patch that read, "No fear." "Hey," she said, falling in to step beside Olivia. Olivia blinked. "Hi." "I'm Riley," the girl said. "I saw what happened yesterday." Olivia looked down. Not much happened. "Yeah, that's why it was scary," Riley replied, then offered a crooked smile. "Tyler's a jerk. Has been for years. Most people just deal." Olivia raised an eyebrow. "And you don't." Riley shrugged. "I try. Doesn't always work. But I figured you should know you've got more people watching your back than you think." That surprised her. Riley leaned in slightly. "There's a group of us who've had run-ins with him. People he's messed with. We talk. Quietly. Because people like Tyler usually don't like noise unless they're the ones making it." Olivia nodded slowly. "And if you ever need to talk, or if you're thinking about doing something stupid," Riley continued, "you don't have to go through it alone." Olivia wasn't sure what to say. So she said the only thing she could. Thanks. They parted ways, but the words lingered. You don't have to go through it alone. Later in history, Olivia's phone buzzed in her pocket. She never checked her phone during class. But something about the buzz made her pulse spike. She slid it out discreetly. A message from an unknown number. Heard you're tougher than you look. Prove it. Meet me after school. Old gym. Her stomach dropped. The old gym was off limits. Technically, used for storage. No cameras. No staff after hours. Just dust, broken bleachers, and forgotten trophies. She stared at the message. Then another text followed. Come alone, or you'll regret it. Her grip on the phone tightened. Her jaw locked. There were no names attached. But she didn't need one. She knew exactly who it was. And this time, something inside her snapped. She didn't respond. She just sat there, staring at the screen. And quietly, beneath her desk, she reached into her backpack. Her fingers brushed the fabric of the belt she'd tucked in that morning. She hadn't worn it, but she brought it, just in case. Because a part of her already knew this wasn't going to stop. When the final bell rang, the hallways exploded with the usual chaos. Slamming lockers, shouting goodbyes, the shuffle of sneakers and boots. Olivia moved against the tide, backpack slung low, shoulders stiff. Every step she took felt like walking into a storm she couldn't see but knew was coming. She didn't hesitate. She didn't text Riley. She didn't run. Instead, she headed toward the back of the campus, where the old gym sat like a relic of a forgotten time. The building was technically condemned. At least that's what people said. But everyone knew it still had its uses. Secret meetups, fights, dares. And now this. The sky above had darkened, clouds thick with the threat of rain. The wind kicked up fallen leaves that scraped across the pavement, like whispers trying to warn her. Olivia didn't flinch. She pushed open the heavy gym door. Inside, the air was cold and stale. The dim lighting overhead cast jagged shadows across the dusty wooden floor. Rows of abandoned bleachers leaned crooked against the walls. A broken scoreboard flickered once before going dark again. Then movement. Tyler stepped out from behind a stack of mats, arms crossed. That smug grin painted across his face like a mask. You actually showed, he said, mock surprise in his voice. Olivia scanned the room. Two others emerged behind him. Ethan and Cole, wrestling team. Big, loyal, dumb. Her eyes narrowed. I said I'd come. Tyler tilted his head. You don't look scared. I'm not. He chuckled. You should be. Cole cracked his knuckles. Ethan tossed a basketball between his hands like it was a threat. Tyler took a step forward. Let's get something straight, he said. This isn't about hurting you. It's about putting you in your place. You embarrassed me in front of half the school, and I can't let that slide. Olivia's pulse quickened, but her breath stayed steady. She adjusted her stance, feet angled, knees bent just enough to be ready. Tyler noticed. Oh, so the rumors are true, he said, smirking. Little Mouse's claws. Ethan moved first. He lunged without warning. A wild haymaker aimed for her shoulder. Olivia ducked, fluid and precise. She pivoted, grabbed his elbow mid-swing, and redirected his weight. He stumbled, crashing into a pile of mats with a surprised grunt. Cole stared. Tyler blinked. Lucky, Tyler muttered. Then he rushed in. He was fast, but sloppy. Adrenaline made people clumsy. Olivia sidestepped, let him pass, then spun on her heel. A controlled strike landed squarely on his back, just enough force to knock him off balance. Not injure. He staggered, growled. You want to do this the hard way? I don't want to do it at all, she said. But it was too late for peace. Cole came at her next. He was heavier, slower. His punch was wide and telegraphed. She blocked it with her forearm and retaliated with a low sweep, dropping him to his knees. He gasped, more from shock than pain. Tyler's face turned red. What the hell are you? I told you, Olivia said, breath steady. You don't want to do this. But he was done listening. He charged again, swinging wildly. One punch grazed her jaw, sharp, hot pain that made her vision blur for half a second. She stumbled back, tasting blood, but the pain grounded her. She countered with a palm strike to his chest. He fell. This time, he stayed down longer. The gym was silent now, save for their breathing. Cole pulled Ethan to his feet. Tyler sat on the floor, stunned. His pride was shattered in front of the only audience that mattered, his own guys. And just then, a soft sound, a creak, a shadow at the side door. Olivia's eyes darted over and saw Riley peeking in, face pale, phone in hand, ready to call for help, ready to run in if needed. They locked eyes. Riley gave a small nod. Olivia turned back to Tyler. He was pushing himself up, his expression a mix of rage and disbelief. You think this is over? He hissed. No, Olivia said. I think it's just starting. And then, footsteps. Loud, purposeful. The gym doors swung open and Principal Alden marched in, Ms. Barnes trailing behind him with 2 security officers. The silence cracked wide open. Caught. Tyler froze. Cole and Ethan looked like they wanted to disappear. Olivia didn't move. She just raised her hand slowly, a silent signal of surrender. Alden's voice boomed. Everyone, out! Now! Ms. Barnes' eyes flicked over the scene. Dust, bruises, guilt. She didn't look surprised, just tired. Riley had disappeared. Probably the anonymous tip. Security took Tyler and the boys first. Olivia followed last, each step echoing with the weight of consequences. As they exited into the cool dusk, she could feel dozens of eyes on her from the windows. But she kept her chin up. Whatever happened next, at least she hadn't run. The principal's office was colder than Olivia remembered. Beige walls, dusty certificates, and forgotten photos from school ceremonies hung like silent witnesses to years of teenage drama. She sat in the stiff chair across from the desk, her pulse loud in her ears. On the other side of the closed door, muffled voices rose and fell. Intense, tense. Olivia could imagine what they were saying. She'd been through this kind of thing before, and it never ended well. She glanced down at her bruised knuckles. Her stomach twisted. This was supposed to be her fresh start. Her mom was counting on it. They both were. Finally, the door creaked open. Ms. Barnes entered first, followed by Principal Alden with a clipboard and a face carved in stone. He looked tired. Always did. He sat, folded his hands, and looked Olivia straight in the eyes. Olivia, he began, we want to hear your side of the story. She hesitated for just a second, then nodded. Tyler sent me a message yesterday. Told me to meet him in the old gym. Said if I didn't, I'd regret it. Alden raised an eyebrow. Do you still have the message? She unlocked her phone and handed it to him. He read it carefully. Ms. Barnes leaned over his shoulder. The silence grew heavy. And why didn't you tell anyone? Barnes asked, arms crossed. Olivia kept her eyes down. Because every time I tried to tell someone, no one believed me. Or worse, they believed me and still did nothing. Alden exhaled, long tired. Unfortunately, this isn't the first time we've heard things about Tyler. But he's slippery, always skirts the line. This time, though, we may finally have something concrete. Just then, a knock. A security officer stepped in, guiding in one of the boys and Jim, Cole. His face was pale, his shoulders tense. He avoided Olivia's gaze as he shuffled in. He has something to say, the officer said. Cole cleared his throat. It wasn't her fault, he muttered, voice cracking. Tyler, he wanted to mess with her. Said it'd be fun. We just went along with it. She didn't start anything. She was just defending herself. The room froze. Alden nodded slowly. I'll need that in writing. Cole swallowed and nodded quickly. He looked ready to run. Moments later, Ethan and Tyler were brought in separately. Olivia stayed seated, Alone, as time dragged on, the walls felt like they were closing in. Her mind raced with possibilities: suspension, expulsion, another forced move. When Alden returned, his posture was stiff, but there was something different in his tone. "Tyler has been placed on indefinite suspension," he said flatly. "His father is furious, threatening to pull all donations from the athletics program. But we have written statements, screenshots, and witnesses. This time, there's no wiggle room." Olivia blinked. "What about me?" Ms. Barnes stepped forward. "You'll receive a formal warning. School policy doesn't distinguish well between self-defense and fighting, but the situation is clear to us. You're not in serious trouble. It wasn't perfect, but it was more than she expected." She nodded quietly. As Olivia stepped back into the hallway, the atmosphere had shifted. Fewer students lingered, but the ones who did offered furtive glances. Some were curious, a few even approving. Riley was waiting near the water fountain, holding out 2 paper cups. "You held your ground," she said, handing one over. Olivia took a sip. Didn't feel like bravery. Just felt like the only option. "Sometimes," Riley said with a crooked smile, "that's exactly what courage is." The next few days felt different. Word of Tyler's suspension spread like wildfire. Rumors flared. Some said he was being transferred, others that his father was suing the school. But none of that mattered as much as one undeniable truth. Tyler Madden was gone, and Olivia wasn't invisible anymore. People began to approach her, quietly, carefully, sharing stories, confessions. A sophomore girl admitted she'd stopped going to pep rallies because Tyler's crew used to taunt her. A boy from her math class said he saw what she did in the gym and called it legendary. She didn't know how to process any of it. All she wanted was to disappear. But now, she was becoming a symbol. One afternoon, Riley found her near the main stairwell, arms full of colorful flyers. "I'm starting a support group," she said, smiling. "For students who've been bullied. For anyone who needs a safe space." Olivia read the title. "Stand Strong, a place where your voice matters." "We could use someone like you," Riley added. "Not to fight, just to be there." Olivia stared at the flyer. "I don't know," she said. Riley grinned. "You don't have to be perfect. You just have to show up." That night, Olivia sat in her room, surrounded by memories she had tried to lock away. Her bed was unmade, the air stale, and the only sound was the distant hum of the fridge in the kitchen. She pulled the wooden trunk from under her bed again, this time more slowly, like she wasn't sure what she was looking for or what she'd find. She lifted the black belt again. It felt heavier than before. There was a photo tucked beneath it, one she hadn't seen in a while. Her standing barefoot on a podium, a silver medal in her hand, eyes locked with the camera. Determined, unapologetic. That version of her didn't exist anymore. At least that's what she kept telling herself. Until now, the text she received earlier in the day still haunted her. "Heard what you did. Respect." No name, no threat, just acknowledgement. She hadn't replied, but it planted something in her. That maybe, despite all the fear, all the trouble, people were starting to see her for more than just a quiet girl. The next morning, Olivia left early. The sky was gray, the air thick with the kind of cold that stung your fingers and made your breath visible. Her phone buzzed with a reminder from Riley. "Stand Strong meeting, today after school. Library. You in?" She stared at it for a second, then typed a reply. "Maybe." When she walked into Carver Ridge High, everything felt off. Not in a bad way, just different. The way people looked at her. Not with pity, not with suspicion, but with interest, respect, caution, maybe. She kept her head low anyway. At her locker, Riley appeared beside her like a ghost, holding a stack of flyers with bold red lettering. "Ever felt alone in a crowd? You're not. Join us." "Help me hang these up?" Riley asked. Olivia took a handful. "Sure." They moved through the halls, sticking them onto bulletin boards, taping them to walls outside classrooms, bathrooms, even near the cafeteria. Every time a student paused to read one, Olivia's heart beat faster. "What if no one comes?" she asked. Riley shrugged. "Then we try again. One person is enough to start a ripple." At lunch, Olivia sat with Riley and two others from the group, Jaden, quiet and tall, and Marla, bold with sharp eyeliner and sharper wit. They'd been targeted by Tyler's crew at different points. Now, they were part of something else. "You're kind of famous now," Marla said between bites of pasta. "Not gonna lie, seeing you throw Tyler on his back was a highlight of my year." Olivia winced. "I wasn't trying to get attention." "Doesn't matter," Jaden added. "Sometimes the right moment finds you anyway." She didn't argue, because deep down she knew they were right. That afternoon, just after the final bell, Olivia found herself standing at the entrance of the library, hands in her pockets, heartbeat echoing in her ears. She stared at the door, unsure if she should go in. Then it opened from the inside. Riley peeked out. "Hey, you coming?" Olivia hesitated for one more second, then stepped inside. The library was quiet. Too quiet. Rows of shelves stretched like sentinels into the distance, their spines untouched by students more interested in social feeds and stories. But in one corner, tucked between two windows and a bulletin board of outdated announcements, a small group had gathered. 15 students. Some familiar, others total strangers. Different cliques, different years. Same reason for being there. Riley had arranged the chairs in a wide semicircle. Olivia stepped in, unsure what to do with her hands or her voice. A few heads turned toward her. There was no judgment, just recognition. "She's the one," someone whispered. Olivia tried not to hear it. Riley motioned to an empty chair beside her. "Sit. You're just in time." As Olivia took her seat, a silence fell over the group, expectant, nervous, but not uncomfortable. Riley cleared her throat. "Okay, I know this is new for most of us, so let's start simple. This group exists because we've all seen how things really work around here. The hallways, the classrooms. Some people get away with anything. Others get crushed for trying to survive." Murmurs of agreement rippled through the room. "We're not here to fight," she continued. "We're here to speak, share, support each other when no one else will." A boy in a hoodie raised his hand. His voice was low, barely above a whisper. "What if people don't believe us?" Olivia answered before she realized she was speaking. "They don't have to," she said. "You just need to believe yourself first." All eyes turned to her. She took a deep breath. "I'm Olivia. You probably know what happened. But what you don't know is I didn't want to fight. I was terrified of what might happen if I did. But I was more terrified of what would happen if I didn't." She paused. No one interrupted. "I didn't start anything," she continued, "but I finished it, and I don't regret that. What I regret is thinking for so long that staying invisible was the same as staying safe." Riley placed a hand on her shoulder, gentle and steady. One by one, others began to speak. Stories poured out. Small humiliations, whispered slurs, hallway pranks that had gone too far, teachers who turned a blind eye. Some students wept. Others stayed silent, but nodded in recognition. It wasn't dramatic. It wasn't loud, but it was real. By the end of the meeting, numbers had been exchanged, a group chat created, a plan formed. They'd meet weekly. They'd post stories anonymously on a student-run blog. They'd start a campaign with a hashtag #StandStrong. And for the first time in a long time, Olivia felt like she wasn't the only one carrying the weight. Later that week, Principal Alden made an announcement over the intercom. In recognition of recent student-led efforts, Carver Ridge High will be observing Anti-Bullying Awareness Week starting Monday. Flyers will be distributed, and the school encourages participation in all related events. In the cafeteria, students blinked at each other in surprise. Some smirked. Others clapped quietly. But Olivia smiled, just a little. She hadn't expected things to change overnight, but something had started. That evening, as she walked home under a soft drizzle, her phone buzzed again. Another message. Unknown number. You really stood up for yourself. You've got guts. She stared at the screen for a long time before locking it without replying. Not every voice needed an answer. Some were just echoes of a system being shaken. The following week, something shifted at Carver Ridge High. Bright posters lined the walls with bold phrases like kindness is strength and silence isn't safety. Teachers actually started mentioning the campaign during class. A few even wore the hashtag #StandStrong pins Riley had printed over the weekend. And then, on Thursday morning, Principal Alden made a new announcement. All students are invited to special assembly tomorrow afternoon in the auditorium organized by your peers. Participation is encouraged. Let's listen. Let's learn. Just like that, it became real. Friday came fast. The auditorium buzzed with tension as students filled the rows, some excited, some skeptical. Rumors flew. Is Olivia really speaking? I heard Tyler tried to send her a message, but she blocked him. Didn't she almost get expelled? On stage, Olivia paced behind the curtain, heart racing. She wore her usual hoodie, hands tucked in her sleeves. She wasn't a speaker. She wasn't a performer. But she was here, because she had to be. Riley gave her a thumbs up from the side. Jaden and Marla sat near the edge of the stage, reviewing cue cards and names of volunteers. A teacher stood by the door, ready to step in if needed, but for the most part, this was the students' moment. The lights dimmed. Riley stepped to the mic first. Hi, she began. We're not here to lecture you. We're not here to shame anyone. We're here because too many of us have stayed quiet for too long, and we're done pretending it doesn't happen. She stepped aside. A freshman girl walked up, shaking, voice small, as she shared how upperclassmen had taunted her about her weight. A junior boy talked about being shoved into lockers for wearing nail polish. Another student spoke about cyberbullying that nearly drove them to drop out. Then, Riley called Olivia's name. For a moment, she froze. Then her feet moved. She stepped out onto the stage. The auditorium quieted. No whispers. No coughs. Just silence. She looked out at the crowd. Faces she'd seen for months. Some kind, some cruel, some neutral. I'm Olivia, she began. I didn't want to be known. I didn't come here to fight anyone. I just wanted to finish school quietly. A pause. But when someone pushes you to a corner, sometimes silence isn't safety. Sometimes silence is surrender. She glanced at Riley, who gave her the smallest nod. I trained in martial arts most of my life, she continued, but I gave it up. I thought maybe if I buried that part of me, I could avoid trouble. But trouble doesn't wait for permission. She looked directly at the crowd now, her voice steady. I didn't fight because I wanted to win. I fought because I didn't want to run. A wave of quiet murmurs passed through the room, thoughtful, respectful. I'm not proud of everything, but I'm proud I didn't let fear keep me down. And if even one of you hears this and decides you don't have to stay silent anymore, then this moment was worth it. A beat, then applause. First slow, then louder, thunderous. A local news crew, invited by the school's media club, caught the whole thing on camera. The footage hit the school's website by sunset. That night, Olivia's mom came home from work late and found her daughter sitting in the living room, milkshake in hand, surrounded by sticky notes and campaign flyers. What's all this? She asked, dropping her keys in a bowl by the door. Olivia looked up, smiled. Something I'm part of now. Her mom sat beside her. I saw the video. You did. I cried, she whispered, and I'm so proud of you. They sat in silence, letting the quiet speak for what words couldn't. Later, Olivia's phone lit up again. Another text from an unknown number. You crushed it today. Let me know if you ever want to talk. She didn't know who it was. She didn't reply, but she didn't delete it either. The Monday after the assembly, Carver Ridge High felt like a new school. For the first time in months, maybe years, the halls buzzed with something other than fear or tension. Posters promoting Stand Strong stayed taped to lockers. Flyers advertising peer meetups and online support spaces hung near every stairwell. People were talking, sharing, listening. Even teachers seemed different. But one person was missing, Tyler Madden. For a week, he hadn't returned. Rumors ran wild. Some said he was expelled. Others claimed his father pulled strings to get him into a private school. But the truth came quietly over the intercom that morning. As of today, Tyler Madden has withdrawn from Carver Ridge High and will be finishing the semester elsewhere. The halls practically exhaled. A chapter had closed. Olivia stood by the vending machines when she heard the announcement. She didn't cheer. She didn't smile. She just stood there, processing the finality of it. She didn't feel victorious. She felt lighter, like a door had finally closed behind her, and she could move forward without looking over her shoulder. At lunch, Riley plopped down at her table with a fresh set of plans. We're thinking of creating a mentorship program. Pair older students with freshmen to help them adjust, give them a place to talk before they feel like they're drowning. Jaden added, and maybe a once-a-month spotlight where someone shares their story anonymously on the school site. Make empathy visible. Olivia nodded. That's actually a really good idea. Marla smirked. Careful, Liv. That almost sounded like leadership. They all laughed, even Olivia. After lunch, she walked to the main hallway and spotted a younger student, maybe a freshman, being teased by two older boys near the lockers. It wasn't physical, just words. Mocking, smirking. The boy's shoulders curled inward. Olivia walked straight over. The moment the two upperclassmen saw her, their expressions shifted. They stepped back, almost instinctively, and muttered something under their breath before walking away. She didn't say a word. She just turned to the boy, handed him a flyer for Stand Strong, and offered a quiet, "You okay?" He nodded, but the look in his eyes, part fear, part awe, reminded her why this mattered. That afternoon, Olivia sat outside the school building beneath an oak tree, scrolling through the hashtag Stand Strong tag on social media. Dozens of students had posted. Some stories were heartbreaking. Others were simple, like, "I finally told someone," or "I don't feel alone anymore." Then her phone buzzed again. A new message. No name. "I'm sorry." She stared at it for a long time. Another message followed. "It's Tyler." Her chest tightened. She didn't know what she expected. An attack? An insult? But instead, "You didn't deserve it. Any of it. I was just angry about stuff you don't even know. But I took it out on you. I'm sorry." Her fingers hovered over the screen. Then she typed, "I accept your apology." A pause. She added, "But I won't forget." She hit send. And just like that, a weight lifted. Not because she forgave him completely, but because she reclaimed the last part of her story that still felt unfinished. That evening, as the sun dipped below the rooftops, Olivia stood in front of her mirror. She looked older, not in years, but in something deeper. She ran her fingers over the folded black belt on her desk. Then she whispered, "I'm not hiding anymore." The next day, Olivia walked into Carver Ridge High not as the quiet girl, but as someone else. Someone seen. Someone heard. She didn't wear anything flashy. No dramatic changes. Same hoodie, same jeans. But her shoulders were straighter, her steps firmer. The hush that once followed her was gone, replaced by something softer. Respect. That afternoon, the first official Stand Strong meeting under school sponsorship was held in the library. Flyers had been posted, reminders sent. Teachers even mentioned it in their classes. Olivia stood near the window, arms crossed, unsure how many would actually show up. By 3:15, more than 20 students had gathered. Freshmen, seniors, athletes, quiet kids, even one of the student council reps, all drawn by something simple: the need for safety, for voice, for change. Riley kicked things off as usual, but this time she turned to Olivia and nodded toward the front. "You ready?" Olivia hesitated, but only for a second. She stepped forward, cleared her throat, and said, "Hi, I'm Olivia. Some of you know what happened. Some of you don't. Doesn't matter. What matters is that we're here because we're done letting fear speak louder than truth." She looked around at the faces watching her, not judging, just listening. "I used to think that staying silent was the best way to avoid pain, but I learned that silence doesn't protect you. It isolates you. It makes you think you're the only one, and you're not." She paused and added, "This group isn't about revenge or exposure. It's about giving people the courage to speak before they break." Applause filled the room. They broke into small circles, talking, planning. One girl talked about building a safe space wall where students would post sticky notes of encouragement. A boy suggested holding a live Q&A with teachers on how they handle reports of bullying. Ideas flowed. Energy grew. By the end, Olivia stood by the door with a stack of flyers. As students filed out, many thanked her. Others gave a quiet nod. A few just a small smile. But every one of them mattered. As the room emptied, Riley nudged her. "You're kind of a hero now." Olivia scoffed. "I'm just a girl who got pushed too far." "And push back," Riley replied. "That part matters." That night, Olivia sat by her bedroom window as the sun dipped below the rooftops. Her phone buzzed with another message, not anonymous this time. It was from one of the students at the meeting. "I almost dropped out last semester. Today gave me hope." She didn't reply right away. She just let the words settle in her chest like warmth. On Friday, the school hosted a hallway event. Photos, posters, students signing a pledge banner to stand strong against cruelty. Olivia helped hang the final piece, a large banner above the main corridor that read, "You don't have to fight alone." She stood beneath it, watching students pass, some stopping to sign, others snapping photos. And for once, she wasn't thinking about survival. She was thinking about momentum, about what comes next. Later, at lunch, a teacher approached her with a clipboard and said, "The counseling office wants to partner with your group. You've started something powerful, Olivia." She blinked. "Me?" The teacher smiled. "Yes, you." She didn't know what to say, just nodded. That evening, back at home, Olivia sat on her bed, the black belt folded neatly beside her, not as a weapon, not as a secret, but as a reminder, a symbol of who she'd always been, strong, disciplined, and unafraid to stand when it counted. As night fell, her phone buzzed one last time, a message from Riley. "We're stronger than we realize." And Olivia finally believed it.